Hey guys, it's Ellen and it's Monday. You know what that means? Mini Monday Madness. Today we're doing a pen and ink again with a wash, just a small little mini beach scene. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Also, please don't forget to hit that bell notification button to know my tutorial is up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Also, check out my Patreon. I have exclusive tutorials, ad-free videos, traceables that go with the YouTube, and coming soon, live stream on the top tier. You can check it out here. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate. So, without further ado, let's get painting. Alright guys, to get started, we'll go over supplies again. I have a 3-inch square Arch 100% cotton cold pressed paper. I have my palette here, my paints. I go over them as I use them, and I always have in the description box. I have paper towel here. You can't really see that. I just taped this down with Scotch tape. For me, it works best on just a piece of cardboard. You can never use whatever you want, like kind of painter's tape, whatever. I have water jars up here. I'll probably be using my Princeton 8 and 4 long round brush, Velvet Touch series. If you're, like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable, but just a simple, beach scene. I'm going to just move this out of the way here, show you what I'm going to draw. You think about if you want to just make your own nice square, right? And then you would have to figure out where the water would be. It's going to be kind of up here, and then a landmass here, just like that. And then you're going to figure the little trail going towards the beach would be like this. So from here, you can draw the little bushes with the beach roses, kind of like here. So I'm just scribbling, but we're going to just paint them in. And then some grasses here on the side. And then you just do your fence. Just do these, skinny little lines, rectangle going down, smaller as you go towards the back of the trail and bigger as you get towards the front. Right? And we're going to use our pens for this. And then just going to attach the little wires you see in the beach fences. And there you go. And that's how you kind of do that. And then we'll paint in the clouds. There's no point in drawing any of that in. It's all about painting it in. So we're back to this. So, again, the pen and ink wash. It's makes things simpler. I wouldn't pen and ink in the clouds, but you could pen and ink the fence, right? And some of the foliage here. So I'm going to zoom in with a Sharpie pen. I like the ultrafine point so that you can paint right over it, and you don't have to worry about bleeding, right? If you used the nib that I use sometimes with the ink like this, it's going to bleed because it's not going to work like that. This is a permanent marker, right? So here we're going to just draw in all the little fences. Kind of similar to the large vignette I did a while ago. I'm just going to draw the fence in. You can start by drawing the little bush in if you want first, and look at the way you're going to put the little roses. And you're just making these like almost like a scribble, little squiggles here. It doesn't have to be this like perfect looking, leaves. You could draw some like actual leaf shapes if you want, but it's mostly going to be squiggles. And I find this kind of technique is really easy for beginners because, sometimes just painting it in is harder, but when you're drawing it in, it's like a guide. Again, hit the fence coming down here. Right, and we have a smaller one on the other side, same thing. There's some grass, beach grass here. So when you have the fence in, you can kind of go down here a little longer, peeking through in the bottom, and more foliage again coming through. And then we have the beach fences have wires that kind of connect them, so you can just kind of draw in with the black marker, going like that. Same thing here on the top and then the bottom. Already you're seeing it come together, right? Just like the drawing. And if you wanted to do the background where the landmass is, you go across and here. It's just another technique for you guys to try. So once you've drawn all that in, right, I'll let the fence go down a little bit longer here. There we go. Here, I would erase the pencil that I had underneath, or I had graphite paper to do the traceable. I use a gum eraser. I just kind of erase the pencil marks. Just get a little cleaner. Now you could start with the sky, you could start with the bottom. The ocean actually is going to be here. I'm not going to pen and ink it. You can put it behind the fence or in front of the fence. I'm just going to put it like right here. It depends. I mean, you could do that because since you already did the landmass, maybe we'll draw in the ocean part. I didn't think I had it in the traceable. Let me see. No, I kind of do like a little line. So here you can put the line going across where the ocean would be. All right, so let's grab our Princeton 8 long round. So we can get the top half where the sky is just wet. The landmass. And don't worry if you go hit over the landmass because the sky's going to be lighter than the dark green landmass. So you just fill that in. So you have a sheen of water, not super wet, but you can see you can see it kind of sheen there. I have a peacock blue, which I love. Very aqua kind of color. I might mix a little ultramarine with that. I like to mix the color of the sky. And get it pretty wet. A lot of water. And if it's too wet, you can always tap it on your paper towel. Right? And I'm just going to kind of right across. I might add some more water to that. That's my sky. Just a bright blue, pretty sky. You want to get a little darker. I'm going to add a little ultramarine. Just going right in here. Oop, that's a little too dark. Take some of that off. Just water down some ultramarine and just kind of like push that paint in here with the brush. See, I'm just kind of moving it like this. You want to get even more darker color. Go like that. So it's still very wet. There's a couple ways you can make clouds while it's still wet. You can use the paper towel away. I'm cleaning off my brush. Or you can take a nice dry brush. I'll just grab any brush I have. Let's see, this is just like a round brush. And you can kind of move it like this. You can tip it, pick up the paint and tap it on the paper towel. You see? It makes a softer cloud. If you want a more harsh cloud, you take a piece of your paper towel like this, and you just kind of take up the paint. Just like that. It's so simple. See? Get the little clouds. It's like magic. You could go back in and add a little paint underneath it. Take some ultramarine just a little bit. See, we'll highlight the cloud even more. Just so you're still damp, so I'm just tapping in some darker color. Just like that. Don't go too crazy. So then the ocean, you can keep it more on the ultramarine kind of color tone, which I have up here. Just going to water it down. Right, I'm not going to use... It's because, you know, this kind of look, it's a New England beach. It wouldn't be a tropical beach. So the water wouldn't be green, aqua. Filling that in. We can go in and add some deeper tones after it dries. Now behind this fence area is going to be mostly green because it's kind of like a marsh. And then we've got the green beach roses, which would be a little bit darker. This is based off a photograph a friend took. You can kind of see that here. See? It's green. There's the beach, the dark. It's lighter. I'm making mine a little more blue. And I decided to make it wider. You can do whatever you want. You know, it depends on how you want to do it. So the front bushes would be green, different color greens. So I'm going to take my cadmium yellow deep and add some Prussian blue with some nice pretty green. You can take some I'm sorry, that was peacock blue. Prussian blue back here, and add the yellow, and it makes a deeper green. I like to mix my greens. You can buy some greens. You don't have to mix it. See, mixing the greens here. This is the Prussian with the yellow. You see me do this in many of my tutorials. So there's yellow. Grab the Prussian blue. Gets a nice deep green. I'll add some burnt umber. There we go. Good enough my brush. And because we already just drew it in, this is just like almost like a paint by number. You grab that pale green color one. Gonna add some more yellow. It's really bright. Okay. You can kind of just go right in between all those little white. It's not a white fence really. It's more of a gray fence, but you can keep it on the light side. And just paint in between the fence. It's green. This might take a little time. And same thing back here. But I think it's great effect. So you just go in between. And while that's still damp, it just looks flat, right? We don't want it to look flat. So you can kind of go in and grab some of your deeper color. Just kind of tap it, watch it bleed a little bit. Make sure this green is a little wet. If it's not wet, it's not going to bleed at all. So I can grab some watered down burnt umber. Just kind of tap that color in here. Some of the darker green also. You could use masking fluid, and then you can just paint right across it. But since we can't do that, we didn't do that. We're just going to be tapping in different color greens. See? Right, just like that. If it gets too muddy, add a brighter green. You can lift up some of that nasty brown and put that pretty green back there. So all right, we're not going to play too much more with that. And then we're going to go into the beach roses. So where you can do the beach roses first, so you know where you want them, and then go into the green. So I have magenta here, quinacradone magenta. I think it's just the perfect color for the rose. I mean, you can just water this down itself. If you want to add a little yellow to it, just to tone it down a bit, you can do that. So I've got some pretty roses and just kind of making these little. So that's a little too much paint, so you just take it off with a paper towel, tap it like that, and you're just going to fill it in where you want the roses. Putting some up here and a few down here. You don't want to cover it too much. They kind of come in clusters too sometimes. So I got a few clusters here and a few here. Right? Get this one a little bit bigger, brighter. And you can just add some more if you wanted more roses. The picture doesn't have as many pink roses, but I'm going to add a few more. And then from here, I'm just going to fill in with this deeper green that we mixed up. Combination of the deep green and the medium green, the lighter green. I'm going to play around with that. So I have the two next to each other. So you're going to see me, they're pretty wet, like 50-50 with water. Going to see me mix the two. So I'll put the dark one. I'm just taking the tip of this brush. I'm still working with the Princeton 8. I'm working around the rose. I don't want it to bleed into the rose. You see, I'm just kind of wiggling the brush, kind of just like we did with the pen, actually drawing it in. Wiggling around here. Because the foliage here would be darker. Just like this. If you mix it into the rose, don't freak out. You can kind of lift up the paint and go back in. See, I'm just going to go in here. So we have that lighter green back here, and we have the darker. I'm going to grab some Prussian blue. Going to get it even deeper. Oops, sorry. Trying to make the paint. There we go. So while it's still damp, you can bleed in even darker green here and there, not everywhere. See? As you get closer to the rose that has less water and more pigment, it just makes a nice look. Right? Out here. Just like that. Can you see that? Let me zoom in a little more. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to the road. And that's just like a, sand color. So I've got my burnt umber here. I'll add a little yellow to it. Maybe a touch of blue. This ultramarine. And then I'm going to really water this down. See that? A lot of water. And put it on your brush. Then I tap it on the paper towel, take off the excess, and then I can go in and put the beige color in here. You might want to wait till the green is dry. Mine's bleeding a little bit because it's not dry. And actually, now I think about it, I probably should have painted this first. So, after you're listening to me, I would have painted this first and then gone back in. And done the green over it, but that's okay. You can do it either way. I'm going to let that dry, and we're going to put in, well, it's still damp though. You can put in some, just don't let it bleed too much. Just tap in little tin taps of gray and deeper browns. It's just going to create more of a natural looking, sand. See, I'm just tapping in little grays. The sand is not going to look flat. It's going to have some shading and color to it. See, I'm just adding that in. Well, it's still damp, so it looks a little more natural. Like someone had just walked the path. And again, come back in here and play around with some bright green. Add a little yellow in here. Now, the fence could be a pale gray. I wouldn't make it dark. You want to keep it light and bright. Adding in some of this yellow here. And while we have the dark green, can add that to the back. It's a little too bright. I'm going to add some deeper color to that. So you can bleed in some burnt umber, some Prussian blue. This would be much darker. And again, you could take those same colors and kind of bleed in around in here too. This has to dry before we can go make the grass. At this point, we can go in, grab a gray, and Paynes gray or any kind of black gouache you have, really water it down. Just put a little bit. I'm still using my big brush. You might need a small one for this. On the fence, if you want to make it gray like a beach fence. Just going in here now and letting a light gray, just a wash. Not too heavy. So it looks a little more natural. All right, and now the ocean. I'll take some of the ultramarine that I had. Water some of that down. I can put little marks like this. If you want to use a smaller brush, go right ahead. A brighter color. There's our blue ocean. At this point, I'm going to grab my 4 to do the grasses over here. This is the Princeton for. And I'm going to take some of the greens that we have. So it's a very skinny, small brush. I'm going to just make those grasses. See, kind of curve it. You want to add a little brown to that. Just a little brush of grasses. I might actually take some Prussian blue and just go right in here. Get some deeper color. And since this brush is small, you can go around like the rose area and get a little tighter. If you want to just take the Prussian blue, make that deep green, and just make like little actual leaves in some areas. Don't have to get this technical. Okay, I'm going to add a little, I'm going to take some Verdier blue, or you can I'll actually just make your life easy. It's already the color ultramarine mixed with the magenta. You make like a purple, a little more blue, bluish purple. We make a shadow on that sand. Adding more blue. Okay, gonna water this down a fair amount. Really wet. See, I'm getting very wet. Very, very wet. And I'll tap it on my paper towel. And I'll put some of that purple shadow from the grasses. Just like that. Like the sun's coming this way, obviously. Across the walkway. And then you just go in and tweak it. Like if you want to add some deeper green in between the fence here. So the fence stands out a little more. Which is skinny little number 4 brush. Or even brighter color. Like a yellow green again. Going back here. Just like so. This is dry. You can add, I would take like a Paynes gray. I'm gonna make some seagulls. Just V's. Make a little V. Right? I do 3. 1, 2, 3 birds flying in the sky. And like, you know, if you want a little more pink, you can go ahead back in here. Add some more pink. Roses. Somewhere areas you see some white spots. Maybe a little bit darker than the pink dried a little light. Go back in a little more dark magenta. You know, brighten it up. I feel like I'm going to add some more pink in this one. The roses are on this side and the grass is on the other side. I'm just kind of filling it in. And that's your little mini. Now you can go ahead and, if you want to really show that ink, go in, put it in more. And if you want to put some white caps in there, I would take some gouache. Or if you did want to add some turquoisey kind of color, you can just kind of go right over this blue. See, change it up a little bit more. And that's kind of really it, you know, for our mini Monday. I'm going to lift the tape up to see what we've got. Just a little beach scene, you know. Summertime's hot. It's hot as Hades here. It's like in the 90s. Past couple of minutes. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, I believe. So there is a little beach mini Monday Madness. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Please don't forget to check out my Patreon, where I have exclusive tutorials, traceables, ad-free videos from my YouTube. And the top tier has, you get a free download from me once a month, and I'll be adding in live stream once a month coming up. So yeah, it's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate. If you haven't hit the bell notification button, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. So I hope you guys enjoyed this mini Monday Madness tutorial. Take care, and I will speak to you soon.